how to quite literally make the greatest comeback of your life. Because the thing is, you're done. You're done with your old self, and it's time for you to finally quantum leap into the version of you who could land your dream job in 90 days, start that thriving business, scale that business to make it even more thriving, and overall have an increased life expansion in 90 days by making the greatest comeback of your life in as soon as 90 days. So anyway, let's just start. Now, the interesting thing about having this comeback is that we generally tend to see this journey as something that's our everything. And we put our heart and soul into transforming ourselves. And even though on a conscious level, we tell ourselves that, we're doing this whole thing for ourselves, for our self-love, for our leveling up, going monk mode, to be disciplined for our own highest good. And we think with our conscious mind that we're giving us 100%. But a lot of times, unconsciously, if you have unresolved baggage, like I used to, there's a part of you, the 10% part of you, that might say, after this journey that I've become hot and leveled up and disciplined and successful, and I might make some solid money after 90 days and I got this new job, I want people that I care about to congratulate me. And even prematurely, before you land the dream job or make solid income, what tends to happen is that your spiritual growth, it starts to skyrocket. You have a better mindset, you're improving how you eat, what you eat, how you work out, how you approach life. And secretly, if your friends or family in your default ecosystem, they relate to the old version of you, and sometimes they don't give 10 out of 10 treatment to the old version of you, the way that it was for me in terms of like friend circle and default ecosystem, you secretly wish that after this 90 days period is over, they are going to validate and accept you and see you and respect you and just get you. So even before you reach this 90 days point, when you start to do some massive leveling up, but then you're experiencing a bit of loneliness and you're starting to feel a bit isolated because you're leveling up on your own, you just want people to understand you, man. So you might be sharing your big vision. I'm gonna do this thing. Yeah, I'm gonna start swimming 1,000 meters on 4 a.m. wake up in winter. I'm gonna catch the bus and train and do all these things and see the sunrise by the coastal walk. And I'm just gonna level up spiritually and be the best version of me. Then come back and film these beautiful beauty reels and just feeling like a goddess. And you secretly, 10% version of you hope that they will congratulate me and they will celebrate me and they will finally give me the 10 out of 10 treatment that I've always wanted as a result of me coming back. And you know this other thing as well. Your ex as well. If you have like ex, whatever, official ex, unofficial ex, the 10% part of you, if you haven't healed from your baggage and your ego is still in the way, you might be like, I secretly hope he sees how hot I gotten. And like, I'm so smart, so clever now. I'm becoming successful now and I hope he regrets it. I hope he regrets losing me. Or if you're trying to get an ex back or unofficial people that you used to see, but they didn't give you the title and you're like, I hope they see that I've really improved. And then they might want to get back with you and they might want to come back to you. So you go on this journey, consciously thinking that you're giving yourself 100%. But on an unconscious level, there might be a part of you that seeks external approval. And the minute that there's even 1% of you that is trying to come back and glow up and reinvent yourself and go on a spiritual growth and physical growth and everything, hoping that people will celebrate you because you've made it on the other side, I'd hate to break it to you, but you're just going to experience a letdown. And once you get let down, that frequency is going to trap you to stay the same. So before we even start this journey, you have to be the version of you who does not seek approval from anyone, no matter how successful you get and no matter how much you improve. And that's the only way your comeback is going to sustain long-term after 90 days, so that you can build the next building block, the next 90 days and 90 days and so forth. Which leads to our first point. Let's go. So when we go on this transformation, it's obvious that besides us just trying to level up and do working out and wake up early and go vegan or things like that, we're going to start off with inner work. But inner work is a very, very interesting journey that I found that if you do it incorrectly, you're going to stay in the loop of doing the inner work. But the whole point of making a comeback is that we materialize things in the physical reality. Tangible money, tangible growth, tangible friendships that are unconditional, tangible things that we can see and touch in the outer reality. So of course this has to start internally, for sure. But a thing that comes with having the correct inner work is that when you are operating as this version of you who sometimes feels insecure the way that I used to be and sometimes am now, you're going to approach meditation, shadow work, crystals, tarot readings, all these things, rewiring your subconscious, getting to alpha state to rewire your subconscious and I ams and manifestation in a way that keeps you in the journey, but not at the end. So that's why when Neville Goddard was like, start at the end, it's really crucial that everything that you do, before you do inner work, meditation, affirmations, visualization and stuff, you must take your elevator up, your consciousness elevator up. And you must really make sure that from now on, all of your decisions, your mental attitude, your emotions, your actions, your thoughts, your expectation, your focus, everything combined, self-talk, your attention, it really has to be aligned with this version of you who is at the end. Because now that you start to delve into inner work, you're not doing it for aesthetics or in a way where the journey, it makes you build this avatar, this other version of you who's not really the version of you that accepts yourself. And in order for you to get really, really good at this, of elevating your consciousness, you must practice this thing that I found really, really interesting in the book Reality Transurfing, where the author talks about pendulums and knowing how to deal very well with pendulums. So the one thing that I had a very, very hard time doing is that when you're operating as this version of you, what you're naturally going to do is follow internet advice that will tell you to delete your socials or deactivate. And the thing is, when I deactivated my old Instagram 4 years ago for 4 months, and I went hard, I started swimming, leveling up, having a bikini bod, and I came back 4 months later onto my socials, and I had this beautiful bikini bod, and I was posting in bikini, which I know objectively you shouldn't, but I felt proud of my body at the time, and I felt like I've leveled up, I'm living this new life, I'm earning my own money, I feel independent and everything. But 4 months later, after I came back to document this new life that I thought that I was leveling up towards, I was not getting congratulations or even acceptance. I was getting skepticism and things like, but why are you posting like this? It's inappropriate and all that kind of stuff. So instead, that's why I'm telling you that before you try to deactivate or delete, you must be in a version of you who's 100% doing this for you. Because when I reactivated my Instagram, it's like in a month, I reverted back to my old ways. I started snooping through people's content all over again. I started waiting for likes. I waited for comments, and I got angry at people that criticized me for my life choice. When at that time, I was the most empowered version I've ever been in my life. So that's why. Even if I went back then to delete the entire thing to do with my past, eventually I came to learn that people, well, at least the version of me who was seeking validation, could only attract people that couldn't give me the validation that I was seeking for. So I realized that 90% of the people that came into my life liked the old version of me who was relatable, who dimmed her light, who didn't speak her thoughts authentically, who adapted herself too much to make other people feel seen without making herself feel seen. And the thing is, even if you delete your past, which I did, I deleted LinkedIn, I deleted Instagram, I deleted Facebook permanently, and I was like, I don't want anything to do with my past anymore. And I trust myself that I can build a whole new ecosystem by just having some time to me. Even when you do that in the physical reality, your old self, your old frequency, your old thought forms, your old beliefs is still going to try and trigger you. So even though I was like, yeah, man, I'm empowered the crap out of myself every 90 days too, still there were situations that would be thrown at me spontaneously that would try to descend this version of me back down to here. And how do you descend back down to here? It's when you give the emotions of frustration, disappointment, let down, discouraged, angry, resentment, anxiety, guilt, and it's so forth. And the minute that you let this version of you in the spiritual realm take control of you by doing anything that it can, so that when you give it the ultimatum, nah, I'm done with you, and it's like, nah, man, I'm not done with you, it would then still throw you people from your past, or like just situations where old conversations, old ways of relating to you, old triggers, old criticism is gonna come up to test your patience. And the minute that you charge that experience with frustration, disappointment, letdown, discourage, anxiety, and guilt, you won't win this game long term. Even if you win in 90 days, but you can still revert back after 90 days. And we're not doing that. We're not doing that. So therefore, the correct inner work is not about, I'm so good at meditating and shadow work, and I'm so spiritual. I can read my own birthday with astrology. I can predict my own future with my birth year. Yeah, this is my Saturn's return year. I can use crystals, and I can use tarot cards and the way like ancient philosophy to read my life, and I'm just above it all. But the thing is, it's not about how good you are at visualizing and stuff like that only. It's about how good you are at maintaining this version of you, this elevated version of you, when rough times hit, because it's going to. So that's why you must learn the art of gentle acceptance. And what does gentle acceptance mean? Well, in reality transferring, the way that I read it, and also other books combined, in terms of being neutral towards all the opposites that are thrown at you. Gentle acceptance means that if you dislike apples and you're like, please apples, don't come to me. Energetically, you're saying that apples, please come to me. So the minute that you see an apple in front of you And then you're like, I'm so disappointed that an apple is appearing again. I hate it so much. Apples are so frustrating. And you start feeling frustrated every time an apple appears. Energetically, you're inviting more apples to engage with you. Energetically, you are pretty much chomping on the apples and saying, please come to me. So when we apply this with things like eventually getting ghosted by people that we don't want to get ghosted from, like when you go to job interviews and they don't get back to you again, ever again, or when you get things like criticism and judgment for you being the best version of you, literally, when you get things like, no movement, and especially when things starts to get worse in the 3D, instead of you going about it the very hard way, which I used to, which is, okay, if I don't like this, delete it. If I don't want to respond to this person, ignore it. But the thing is, just because you can physically ignore things and deactivate accounts and not check your WhatsApp and delete everything, your energetics, the inner inside of you, it's not about physically taking the action, but feeling attached and feeling scared of these things. Gentle acceptance, it literally means that you are not scared of it. And when you're not scared of it, it means that you are indifferent. So let's just say that after you try to make the comeback and you build the abs, you wake up early, you start to swim like a solid amount of laps, and you're doing everything perfectly, but the 3D reality starts to throw you this. Instead of you ever giving it emotional charge that then invites more of it, like ghosted, and then now you're frustrated, okay, please ghost me even more. Like, criticism and judgments from relatives and friend circles, like, why are you doing this? Why are you living there? Are you sure you should do this? I think you should make the safe choice. The more you hate it, like I did, I hated it. People judging, giving me opinions and trying to keep me in a box. The more you hate it, the more you're like, please judge me more. Please criticize my choice more, please. The more that you are frustrated by lack of movement, nobody getting back to you, no results, income doesn't change. You do all this inner work, bank account doesn't change, and you try to get employed, still people reject you and you're like the best version of you. And you are frustrated as hell, and you even feel let down, disappointed. You're saying, please, come on, please reject me more. Please give me no movement. Please let everything stay the same. And the more that you feel like, what the hell, man? What the F? What? And you're like, why are things getting worse? The more you feel let down, like, far out, man. Again, a fine again. I don't have money for the fine. Again, this what the hell debt from 4 years ago literally came up when I needed to buy a new thing. And now my parents have to help me pay it off. And it's so frustrating. And all these things that I went through last year. If you feel what I'm not going to swear here, what the F all the time, then you're pretty much saying, please give me more fines. Please keep draining my bank account. Please, things keep going wrong, please, energetically. So even if you do shadow work, even if you meditate, even if you smell like those scents, those spiritual, beautiful lavender scents I love them, by the way. Even if you light up candles, even if you do framing and you meditate, like I am the source, I'm the power, and you start to dress like, spiritually, and you have beads, like I used to, I love them. But every time something hits you and you give it the biggest what the F and you sustain that emotion, it's not gonna work. And the whole point of subconscious rewiring and all the inner child work that you do, and like, I love myself and universe has your back and everything, is not going to work if you cannot conquer these with neutrality, with indifference, with as least reaction as possible, and show your old self and show reality who's the boss here. So we're going to move on to the second point. Let's go. Now, the most important thing when it comes to your comeback journey and reinventing yourself and glowing up and doing all the spiritual work to get what you want is that now you kind of need to channel the energy in your mental and spiritual realm into the world so that you can touch the money, so that you can actually transact for that lipstick that you want, and it's not just in your imagination. Because sometimes when I went way too deep into the spiritual stuff and I'm looking at the lipstick that I want and looking at the bikini that I want, see Foley or Baku, and look at my bank account and I'm like, I have the body to wear it, but I don't have the money to pay for it. So you've got to take action, but in a way that serves the best version of you. So therefore, going back to this version of you, and comparing this to the version of you who's taken the elevator up with the consciousness, and now you're operating at a point where you definitely can get the bikini that you want. And you can get anything that you want in the physical reality. So, like, let's just say 100,000, like everything, 100,000. This version of you is gonna start taking funny actions. Because again, if you don't get the inner work correctly, the action's not gonna be correct because everything stems from the mental and spiritual, right? So it has to start off in the internal world so that it reflects in the outer world. So then if you get a wonky way of seeing life, so then you're meditating, but then you're still seeing life in a wonky way and you can't deal with the old frequency, then every action that you take is gonna be a wonky action. So therefore, what we have to do is, I'm gonna show you that this version of you who is operating from the egoic self, they're gonna see life in a very weird way, like I did for a long time. So even if there's an insane value product and books, like Alex Hormozi's stuff, which is insane value. When I was living in a wonky place, I couldn't digest Alex Hormozi's videos properly. And I couldn't digest Power of Letting Go properly when I'm not in the right state to receive the knowledge. So when I read all these books, I want to understand it and implement it. But for some reason, like it's just my egoic self, it just can't digest the information the right way. And you start even getting angry at people like posting content online because like, stop giving me more like how to get rich in 7 days and how I made 7 figures in 1 day kind of thing. Because you're operating at a narrow, very, very narrow way of seeing life. So once you operate from that state, when you start to take a bit of action in the next 90 days, you're gonna take an action that doesn't lead to your desired reality. But your old frequency, your old self is going to convince you that it's all the right action. So you're going to start, trying to work out. And the thing is, you might even get a beginner's luck right here. You might wake up early at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. And you're starting to win on your first 14 days the way that it did for me. But the thing is, if your perception towards life is narrow and it's controlled by your egoic self who doesn't have the life that you want, naturally the working out at 5 a.m. is going to lead you down the drain still. So then you might continue it, but then what happens is that the 3D reality is going to start throwing you the triggers. So you might go to a shopping center the way that I did, and I randomly bumped into an old friend, and she's such a lovely, lovely friend that I had and everything, but I've changed. And I wanted to talk to her about, my grandpa and my trip to Thailand and just seeing how we can be really rich from within when we just open our hearts. And I was telling her about this lady who was giving us free bananas, and she was charging a few dollars for dozens of bananas, but she gave us free bananas to feed the monkey. And I wanted to talk about that, about empowering things. But then, because the way that we used to bond is about men, laughing about men, demeaning men. Basically, the conversation in the end had to revert back to things like, you can't trust these type of men. They're gonna, do funny things with you, and because they do this to me, so they're gonna do it to you too, and all these things. And because today I know what's going on. I'm not offended. But I do know that this is the old frequency, the old version of me that's sending these kind of bizarre situations to trigger me to believing that after all this inner work that I did and I worked hard on myself, and I don't believe that about men anymore. I only see men in the best light now. And I don't associate myself with that world, and I don't waste my time with people I don't want to be with romantically. But then, no matter what you do, it still hits you, like old conversations, old encounters. If you were like my old self, by then, if I was operating as my old self, I would be really, really pissed. That how can this happen again? Why am I talking about this again? Why did I let myself talk about this again? But I knew, I was conscious. As an ego version of you, these situations are inevitable. It's gonna keep coming up. So then you're gonna feel depleted. So like the next day you're like, nah, I don't wanna wake up early anymore. Screw that, nothing's changing. So why should I? So then you might end up sleeping in till like 2 p.m. because all the previous weeks you're starting to feel burnt out. But then when you start to hit this dip, your egoic self is now going to have this internal monologue to say, see, it hasn't changed. Nothing's getting better. It's not getting better. The reality is still giving me the same bullcrap all the time. But then because you are determined to have a comeback, you still try your best. So after scrolling on YouTube and stuff like I used to, scrolling on like content on YouTube, watching mukbang videos and nail videos, you might have the urge to film content. So you film content and you're like, this has to blow up. This is going to be amazing. And then it doesn't blow up. It doesn't blow up. Nobody cares. People criticize you again for leveling up. So then what happens? Your self-esteem takes a dip. So then what else do you do now? You start to overthink it. You start to overanalyze what the hell's going on. But then you still go and do your workout. You still work out. You still swim. But then no matter what you do, you're not here. You're not in resonance with here. Because even if the actions are already taken, such as waking up, working out, changing your mindset, watching Alex Hormozzi's videos the way that I did, you've attended this workshop, you did this and that, but if you're not in an aligned state, there are no physical action that will lead you to this place, because it's not about the action itself, it's how you compound the energetics, how you compound the energy along the way that then leads to an exponential growth. Whereas Patty, who is now smart and patient with the world, she may start off her journey here. And the thing is, she doesn't care about beginner luck anymore. I don't care about instant virality or that stuff anymore as much as I used to. So she's like, it's fine. Like first 14 days, you see almost no change. It's just really, really incremental small steps. But for every single win that happens, like, holy crap, yeah, I didn't burn out today from swimming 1,000 meters on 4 a.m. wake up. That's a win. Whereas before it's like, yeah, but I shouldn't burn out. But now it's like, nah, I didn't burn out. That means I'm doing something right. Or the things like, you know what, today I cooked my dad Thai noodles again and he loved it, even though I'm doing this. But on the break, I just go and cook my dad and come back. And I'm still an awesome daughter and stuff like that. And I acknowledge those insignificant wins. So then I still take the same action as her. But the difference is that I'm taking the action to compound the energy and not taking sporadic actions here and there, and the energy doesn't compound to where you want to go. So the whole point is you have to like interweave. It's kind of like stacking a Lego, and it has to be a beautiful, like patient, incremental way of stacking Lego for it to sustain. So you take these small wins, and the thing is you still dip. So again, like this version of me encountered that situation where like, but why do I have to have this conversation about men again? I don't like it. I don't want to talk about men that way anymore. And even though there was a part of me that wanted to be frustrated, that like, what the hell is going on again? But a part of me also knew that it's, the more I give it frustration, the more it's gonna loop. So I see it neutrally and I discharge it. So any dip that happens here, like some weird convos, you know, like people from the past coming back to relate to the old version of you, and they literally don't see anything to do with your new version. They only want you to stay as the relatable version of you. So you're like, I'm thinking about my vision about this YouTube channel and stuff, and And now it's like, there's nothing about men, like demeaning men in my head at all. But people want to talk to you about that. This version of you is going to be like, discharge frustration. As in, you neutralize the frustration as soon as you can. For me, I can do it in like an hour or less than that. So I can be like a bit frustrated and then going back and then I let it go completely, 45 minutes to an hour, whereas in the past, it took me days to discharge something like that. So then when you keep going at it, you keep going and you still take small steps and you dip again. Now something weird happens. You get a fine, the way that I did last year, out of nowhere, or there's just situations that makes your old self, she would literally go berserkers. Yeah. Basically, when this happens, you discharge the disappointment. Oh, maybe something that very recently too, I sent a message, like a vulnerable voice message to share my wins. And then I don't get a response. Now, I'm not really sure if it didn't get to the right number or anything, but my old self would have felt really rejected. My current self is like, there's plenty of opportunities to bond anyway, it's fine, like whatever. So whatever I would initially feel, I discharge the emotion on the spot. So whether that means that, like Nero suggested, like you really sit with the thing, whether it's your bank account, the minus, the letter, getting a fine, the tax letter, you look at it until the emotions of frustration, of fear, of anxiety dissipates. But for me, I just sit with it. So whether you look at it or you sit with it and you're just aware of it until every single emotion of frustration, disappointment disappears, then you're good. Because then when you remove these negative life force, it's easier for you to climb up, to eventually reach this point where like you're really here, because all these blocks are they're discharged. So you can build this beautiful energy upwards. So now, no matter what you do, whether it's your swims, you're waking up early, you're reading books, you're watching Alex Hormozy, you're reading reality transfer things, I really I knew of that book a long time ago, but the information only sunk in recently because I wasn't open to receiving that information properly. So I always knew about parallel realities, and I read about parallel reality since 2012. I believe his name is Fred Donaldson, the author. But anyway, the point of you taking action is so that it supports your inner direction. Because the whole point of push-ups, deadlifting, the way that I did, of doing positive things in the waking world is so you build conviction. But if you're doing it this way, sporadically, where, yeah, I'm doing it, I'm brute forcing myself, and every time something hits me, which it will, like the energy that I could have directed towards building my muscle, towards getting more inspired to create, to be more positive, it gets directed towards frustration. So then when I'm frustrated and sad, I can't really do push-ups on the sand. I remembered when someone used to make me sad, my family member, and I would get criticized and stuff. The next day, when I'm supposed to be able to do push-ups on the sand easily, I just can't do it because I feel sad. So the thing is, when you don't let yourself dwell in that disappointed place for too long, you put the positive life force back into your vessel so that you have conviction in the things that you do, so that all the wins are stacked correctly, the working out, the swimming, the meditating, the breath work, the shadow work, all that, it's stacking correctly in a way that builds conviction that you have this thing. So when you're making the greatest comeback of your life, including looks maxing, including this, like wearing beautiful dress and doing my hair properly and makeup properly, it has to lead towards conviction and self-trust, as well as confidence and certainty that it's happening. Because once you're certain the first 90 days, you have to stay certain the next 90 days, then the next 90 days, and sustain that certainty. And not just make a comeback, 90 days is over, and then people's like, why are you going vegan? I'm not vegan, but why? Why do you have to do that? You don't revert back to your old ways because of that kind of reaction. which leads to the final point. Let's go. The final thing that we have to do in the journey of making the greatest comeback of our life is knowing how to reward yourself. See, the thing is, back then when I was in Toastmasters, I remembered the only thing I've ever wanted was to compete internationally. And that's the only, the main reason why I joined the organization. I'm a good public speaker already, and I feel confident public speaking already. So I just went so that, because I was so traumatized by my past, that my resume, no matter where I applied, after I did interview coaching, to grow, to then get some more money to then go back to the business, I kept getting rejected. And the reason is because inside, I don't see myself as somebody that compromises her values anymore to earn money kind of thing. And I understand everyone's in different life situations, but once you're overconfident in interviews and you start to speak authentically in job interviews, in places that don't align with your values, they immediately nah, she's a threat, so I'm not gonna hire her. So I felt traumatized by that situation, and I thought that the only way for me to get highly paid is to become a paid public speaker. And I thought that the reason why it's paid public speaker is because I'm good at speaking publicly. So I thought that if I just compete internationally and have a chance of winning internationally, then I could then build onto my resume that I've done this and that, build credibility, gain connections, and get highly paid. Now, of course, objectively, that is the correct objective strategy for my egoic self. So my egoic self literally strategized everything like that. But then what happens as I joined Toastmasters is that I kept getting showered with trophies. People just kept rewarding me with trophies like, congratulations, Patty, on this advertising, marketing. I would literally do marketing videos, video testimonial videos for them. And with the DSLR, and it's all professional. And I would talk about my journey, how I went really hard with speeches and compete, and it looks great for marketing. So people would then shower me with praises and is that you from Instagram? I think I know you, Patty. And well, what? So I had that experience in Toastmasters. So then I just kept getting showered with praises, you are so good. Eventually I became area director for Eastern Suburbs. So I'd go everywhere. And I started taking myself to places like Rose Bay Sailing Club and literally doing a free flow speech in that environment, which is not really hard to do. But when you're in a place where, who am I to do free flow here kind of thing, you have to overcome that imposter syndrome, which I did. And people loved it. I don't know, I think people are just sweet, they're just lovely. So people generally are so lovely with me in Toastmasters. And every time I do club officer training in Rose Bay, in Bankstown, doing Zoom as well to a bunch of 40-year-old men, and one guy was in the organization for a very long time. And he's extremely skilled from Canberra. And I'm why the hell am I teaching him all this? But I still got a good response. And I also do club officer training for women of Westpac on Zoom. And then by the end of it, the ladies, the beautiful ladies from Women of Westpac were Patty, I can't believe she's only 2 years in the organization. She's superb. The way she communicated, she sounded more experienced. And I kept getting that over and over again. So then naturally, because I kept receiving that kind of praise and trophies, my egoic self fell asleep each night feeling rewarded with verbal praise, recognition, and trophies. And it's interesting because some people actually, they care about trophies. They care about recognition and all that stuff, but I don't care about it. I mean, I do, but what I wanted the most was to get paid. And the only thing I've ever wanted was to compete internationally. So I don't care about getting praises. I mean, yes, it helps me, but it doesn't do anything to my self-esteem. It's just natural for people to say that. That's what I'm trying to say. But what wasn't natural for my subconscious was getting highly paid. So therefore, once you elevate your consciousness to be this version of you who has what you want, the reward, you need to reward yourself the correct way with this comeback so that you don't feel frustrated. Because the thing is, objectively, I should be feeling like amazing, man. One of the best speaker kind of thing. So no matter where I went, to Qantas, to this and that, it's like I always get the same feedback, Patty. There's something about you're a natural, you're so good. And I just kept getting trophies and stuff like that. But what I wanted was pay. The thing is, because I'm an egoic version of me, has a very narrow lens, I approached it all in a very, very wrong way. So the thing is, I didn't win the contest. I didn't win the international contest, even at area level. And on that day, I remembered like just getting so resentful and angry. Like, how is this possible? I practiced 100 times in 3 months last year. I kept practicing. I did a bunch of free flow. I went all in. How can they not give the win to me? And I was really angry. So then but then who was I angry at? Because the judges are just normal people that are just there to like be involved in the contest, which I didn't understand at the time. I was too egoic at the time. So I was like, this is not fair. The world is not fair and everything. And I literally just never appreciated the insignificant things that they gave me already, which is like a lot of like beautiful moments. People were so lovely with me at the time. So the thing is, for you to avoid getting like you want one thing, but you get other things. Everything. So I wanted the money. I just want to get paid highly because I was traumatized by my resume situation. But I kept getting praises and I just kept getting like recognition, like in that kind of atmosphere, and like plastic trophies that I don't need. I don't need more trophies. And I kept getting everything around what I wanted except for the thing that I wanted. So you need to know how to reward yourself properly internally so that your external reflects that. So if you want to get paid, on the first night that you fall asleep and your brain goes into the alpha brainwave state, or you are doing long swims, you're working out, you're doing long walks, and your brain is relaxed in this beautiful receptive state. As you're about to doze off to sleep as well, you must, ready? Pay yourself. If you want money, I wanted money. Pay yourself before sleep. Pay yourself when your brain is receptive to, your subconscious is easily impressed when your brain is receptive. And just pay yourself, okay? For me, because I kept receiving praises and trophies and stuff, even before Toastmasters, I just kept getting people praising me all the time. So I think that naturally my subconscious, like I fell asleep, I would think about my day, how my day went. So I'd naturally fall asleep remembering that, oh, this person praised me, that person praised me. So it's like I was automatically gifting myself the experience of constantly being praised and recognized no matter what I do, no matter what work I do. Usually I would get a compliment. So compliments are just very normal to me. And like plastic trophies and stuff like that, like it's normal. But what was normal to me was getting fairly paid. So therefore, if you want to get fairly paid what you deserve, you must internally pay yourself that amount. If you want to get paid 20 grand this month alone, 20 grand months kind of thing, pay yourself 20 grand on that night. If you want to get paid more, pay yourself more. And then you do that for the second night too. Second night you fall asleep, you pay yourself. You can pay yourself whatever amount you want, but basically when you're paying yourself this amount, you got to get to the state or the feeling of what it will feel like to have the 20 grand paid literally today. And you've got to flood your subconscious and saturate yourself or him, with intense, vivid feelings of, I feel so relaxed. 20 grand in my bank account now this month. I'm good. I can finally go and buy the bagu bikini that I wanted. When I go to Honey Bidet and see this lingerie that I wanted, I can literally, $300 on a set means nothing kind of thing. You have to feel like, finally, It's here. And then you keep doing this. Night 3, pay yourself. Night 4, pay yourself. Pay yourself, pay yourself, pay yourself. Every night, pay yourself. Because the thing is, think about it, for me at least. If you had a solid amount of money in your bank account, and you know that you can use that money to go and buy whatever bikini you want, to buy whatever car you want, let's just say you up the number level, and your subconscious can believe that you can make 100 grand within a few months, and you pay yourself like 100 grand every night, and then you associate 100 grand with, I don't know, like a deposit for a car or something, or renting a sports car, or you pay yourself more and you buy a sports car and stuff like that, and you can get into that feeling state. What goes within, as within, so without. You're rich within, rich without. You pay yourself within, you get paid without. You gift yourself the Lamborghini before bed every night. Without, the Lamborghini has to be gifted to you. But that's what I didn't do. I kept gifting myself with praises, recognition, and trophies that don't do anything to me, because it's natural for my identity to be that way, to be high standard. But what would have changed my life significantly at the time was just, solid money. So whatever you want, you must pay yourself, because again, when I said, imagine if that money lands, would you give a crap about some like Kevin or Jane or Joe who's like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing shadow work? No, but why are you wearing that bikini? Why do you want bikinis? Shouldn't you dress like that instead? Like, shouldn't you just focus on this instead? Shouldn't you just go and get a job in this instead? Once you pay yourself, every night, pay yourself, and you know eventually that you're going to get paid that amount in the outer world, would you give a crap about other people's opinion towards your improvements or lack of improvement? So when you've gotten fitter, your body's great, everything's great, and now people are like, but why? Are you going to give a crap? Not going to give a crap. And when you don't give a crap, you don't feed your own reality, frustration, disappointment, letdown. Oh, but why doesn't Jane understand me? Oh, where's Joe? Like, why doesn't Joe get it? Like, kind of thing. But instead you're like, you know what? Let them all be. And I'm just going to continue to ascend. Because if reality is not giving me what I want, I'm going to then give myself the 100 grand, the Lambo, the Porsche, the Merc, the brand name, the Chanel bag, the bikini that I wanted for a long time, the lingerie that I wanted for a long time, all these things, I'm giving it to me vibrationally, where my subconscious can be easily impressed in the alpha brainwave state. And I repeatedly do that over and over and over until it feels normal to have these things. And once it gets reflected outwards and people are like, well, how did you do it? How did you do it? Wow, how'd you do it? You always knew how you did it, because you reward yourself before the world rewards you. And by then, when you have the Lambo that you wanted, which I don't, but if you wanted the Lambo, once you start to have that lifestyle that you want, the way that when I was able to buy part of that lifestyle, I literally gave less and less crap about people that would try to weigh me down with opinions and stuff. So the more you focus on this, the relationship that you have with yourself, and just reward yourself, the more it is easier for you to maintain the frequency as the elevated version of you who has everything, your desired reality, whatever that is. And when you do make the 90 days comeback, regardless of how the 3D responds to you, you are indifferent and you're just untouchable. And you bring this the next 90 days, the next 90 days, the next 90 days, and you are just literally untouchable. And that's where you want to be. Okay, so I'm going to be opening up a service soon, a coaching service. And my mission is to empower high-achieving women to reach the tipping point in 8 to 12 weeks by raising their inner worth ceiling. And if that's you, get in touch, okay? See ya, bye-bye.